Welcome back to our podcast, where we delve into the intricate web of international relations and regional developments. Today, we're shining a spotlight on the African Union, an organization with a rich history and an ambitious agenda.
That's right. The African Union, or AU, emerged from the shadows of its predecessor, the Organization of African Unity. It represents a bold attempt at enhancing continental governance and addressing issues that plague many African nations.
Exactly. Founded in 2001 and officially launched in 2002, the AU has undertaken significant institutional innovations. One of its key initiatives is the African Risk Capacity, established in 2012. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. The African Risk Capacity is a fascinating risk-pooling initiative. It functions like an insurance mechanism for member states facing natural disasters.
Interesting. So how does it work?
Member countries contribute annual premiums, and in times of crisis, like droughts or floods, financial assistance is rapidly distributed to those in need. Initially focused on drought mitigation, the program aims to broaden its scope to include other natural disasters, acknowledging that climate challenges are increasingly multifaceted.
That sounds like a vital safety net for many countries, especially given the increasing prevalence of climate-related disasters. What are some other initiatives in the AU's bag of tools?
Another important initiative is the AU Import Levy, introduced in 2016. This program imposes a 0.2% levy on eligible imports. The revenue is directed towards the AU's operations and the Peace Fund, aiming to increase self-sufficiency for the organization by generating at least 25% of its funding from internal sources.
So, we're seeing a shift towards greater self-reliance, which is crucial in the context of decreasing reliance on external donors.
Right, and Ghana, Kenya, and Rwanda were the first countries to implement this levy in 2017. Now let's talk about one of the most exciting developments, the Free Movement Protocol.
The Free Movement Protocol was adopted in early 2018. It promotes visa-free travel across Africa by 2023. Imagine being able to travel across borders in Africa without the hassle of visas. Some countries, like Seychelles, Ghana, and Rwanda, have already started allowing visas on arrival.
That's a game changer. But while the AU has made strides with these innovations, it still faces significant challenges, especially regarding credibility in upholding democratic values and human rights.
The leadership selection paradox is a notable issue. Throughout its first 16 years, the AU's leadership included both democratically elected leaders and some enduring authoritarian figures. This inconsistency raises questions about the AU's commitment to democratic governance.
And let's not forget the failures observed in various peacekeeping efforts, like in Libya, where the AU's mediation attempt in the 2011 civil war was criticized as being more about protecting the regime than facilitating real conflict resolution.
What about the AU's approach regarding the International Criminal Court? I know there's quite a bit of controversy surrounding African countries and the ICC.
Indeed, the ICC has faced sharp criticism from African leaders who argue that it disproportionately targets African nations while ignoring war crimes in other parts of the world. By late 2017, all 41 ICC indictments were of African individuals, despite the court's stated aim to address all war crimes universally.
And yet, many investigations were initiated at the request of those very same African leaders. It's a complex issue that seems to tread a thin line between sovereignty and accountability.
Absolutely. The debate intensified in early 2016 when the AU endorsed a roadmap for member states to withdraw from the Rome Statute. Countries like Burundi, South Africa, and Gambia voiced their withdrawal intentions, although they faced significant public and political pushback.
After the political climate changed in Gambia, their new leadership reversed the withdrawal. South Africa did the same after a court ruling deemed their withdrawal unconstitutional. It shows the dynamism and sometimes unpredictability of political decisions.
Exactly. It speaks to the complexities of governance and the difficulty in achieving a unified approach to accountability on the continent, especially with historical patterns of impunity still lingering.
Switching gears, let's discuss economic integration. The idea of merging economies in Africa isn't a new one. The Pan-African movement from the early 1900s already stirred discussions around it, gaining traction during anti-colonial struggles in the 1950s.
However, turning that vision into reality has proven to be extraordinarily challenging, filled with diplomatic frictions, economic disparities, and a lack of robust political commitment.
You mentioned stages of economic integration. Could you elaborate on that?
Certainly. Economic integration typically occurs in stages, starting from the elimination of tariffs and trade restrictions to forming a free trade area. Countries become members of a customs union where they agree on common external tariffs. Then they can evolve into a common market, allowing free movement of labor and capital.
And finally, there's the monetary union, which essentially means sharing a currency and having a centralized monetary authority. Yet most regional organizations struggle to progress beyond the initial phase.
Yes, realist theory often predicts this reluctance to cede sovereignty to supranational institutions. For example, despite numerous sub-regional organizations established to facilitate economic objectives, we've seen minimal movement toward deeper integration.
Can you dive a little deeper into the rationale behind African regional integration?
Certainly. One primary rationale is to address economic fragmentation resulting from colonial-era border demarcations. These borders often split ethnic communities and disrupted pre-colonial trade routes.
And that's where regional integration steps in, creating opportunities for cross-border cooperation without redrawing maps entirely.
Exactly. In addition, many sub-Saharan African countries have small populations, limiting their market size. By banding together, they can expand consumer bases, allowing local producers to scale up and compete internationally.
And let's not forget about landlocked countries, which often face logistical nightmares getting goods to market. Integrating regionally can help streamline access to ports and transportation networks.
Right. Countries like Niger and Uganda experience unique challenges because they need agreements with neighbors for transit. Establishing regional frameworks can institutionalize these arrangements and enhance economic viability.
So essentially, regional integration can help mitigate global marginality by attracting foreign direct investment. Bigger markets are more appealing to investors, right?
Exactly. A country with a population of just 5 million, such as Botswana, might not draw much attention from investors. But if they're part of a regional group with a combined 50 million, the dynamics change significantly. A larger market means more potential customers.
What other economic integration benefits exist?
Negotiating power is another major benefit. African countries that negotiate as cohesive regional blocs stand a better chance against powerful players in international economic discussions. Think European Union here. The EU's journey from a few countries to a robust trade bloc is an aspirational roadmap for African nations.
That's encouraging, but what about the real challenges that hinder this integration?
Limited progress, despite the proliferation of organizations, certainly tops the list. Many have been created with bold economic objectives, but struggle to advance beyond free trade areas, and few customs unions see the light of day.
Also, intra-regional trade deficiencies, right? In 2014, only about 17.7% of exports from African countries remained within the continent.
Exactly, while 27.3% went to Asia and 36.2% to Europe. This demonstrates a stark contrast and highlights the potential for internal market growth. Some of that data may not include informal trade, which could be significant.
What about the infrastructure situation?
Infrastructure remains a massive hurdle. Much of the transportation networks was designed during colonial times, focusing on resource extraction rather than facilitating intracontinental trade. Some recent investments, especially from China, have sparked hope for improvements, but the current inadequacies still limit regional commerce.
And let's not forget the uneven distribution of integration benefits. Wealthier nations often pull ahead and capture the lion's share of the advantages, leading to resentment among poorer nations.
Absolutely. The historical example of the East African community's collapse from 1967 to 1977 illustrates how asymmetrical gains can undermine cooperation.
There's also the challenge of overlapping memberships across multiple organizations, which complicates tariff harmonization and commitment to agreements.
For instance, Tanzania is part of both the East African Community and the Southern African Development Community. With competing commitments, countries like that can find it tough to navigate their regional obligations effectively.
It sounds like Africa's path to integration is fraught with challenges and paradoxes. Yet, the aspirations are clear. It's about envisioning a united and self-sufficient Africa capable of thriving in the global arena.
Indeed, today's discussion has revealed both the ambitious aspirations of the AU as well as the significant obstacles that remain. The journey toward meaningful integration is ongoing, and it will require sustained commitment, innovative solutions, and perhaps most importantly, unity among African nations.
Absolutely. As we wrap up, let's remember the takeaways. The African Union is making strides with institutional innovations like the African risk capacity and promoting free movement. However, it also grapples with serious challenges for credibility, economic integration hurdles, and the historical context that has shaped its current landscape.
Well said. Let's keep an eye on how these dynamics evolve as the story of Africa's collective journey continues to unfold. Thanks for joining us today, and be sure to tune in next time for more insights into global affairs.